comes to watching TV, I like a genre.
Do you like a genre?
I like a genre. I like a good crime drama genre.
You do.
And there's one coming our way Sunday night, 9 o'clock on ITV. Professor T, it is called. From complicated characters to mysterious murders, the Professor promises to have you on the edge of your seat. Professor T is played by Ben Miller. Very lovely to see you, Ben.
So nice to be here.
And my friend, looking at this, you're a different person from what I know of you. I mean, which is great, you're supposed to be. But this is a big dramatic role for you, isn't it?
Huge, big break for me. It's my first proper dramatic part, really. So it was so exciting to do. And also, the part was kind of, as we'll see in a minute when we get into it, the part was kind of made for me. I mean, it's extraordinary. It's set in Cambridge. I think one of the questions I would be wondering is what's so special about this crime drama? There's so much good crime drama on, and it's really the setting, Cambridge, this beautiful setting, but this extraordinary character, this detective, very, very gifted, brilliant, genius detective with this incredibly complex backstory.
So he is, we said Professor T, he's Professor Julian Tempest.
Professor Julian Tempest.
Great name.
That's a
why
name
is
to
he
conjure.
So complicated and
He's got a
challenging?
lot going on. So he has a very, very traumatic past, which is sort of hinted at through this. Well, we learn a little bit more about that past in this first series, 6 episodes. And he also has some quirks. He's got OCD, I mean, really bad OCD, and he's kind of on the spectrum. So he's a sort of very... He's someone who people find difficult to deal with.
So
Socially very, very awkward. I mean, he just doesn't bother with the normal...
The niceties.
Doesn't bother,
Yes.
Eamon. Just doesn't care.
All the best detectives don't.
All the best detectives don't. Sherlock Holmes famously didn't.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
But does he talk about his OCD? And
Well, what's wonderful, I mean, I suffered from OCD in my 20s, and I'm one of the lucky people who I had CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, and it really, really helped. It made it very manageable.
how did it present itself to you?
Lots of strange things. I used to have a very strange thing about touching doors before I went through and counting things constantly. Mine was quite a mathematical... I've got quite a mathematical mind, and sometimes that goes a little bit into overdrive. The Professor is germaphobic. He's obsessed with order and cleanliness. But the interesting thing about his OCD is a lot of us that have OCD, we tend to try and hide it from people because we feel a bit ashamed. I certainly did, anyway. The Professor makes no attempt to hide it whatsoever. And so, for someone like me I've experienced a little bit what that's like from the inside, to play a character that just doesn't care.
How did it affect you?
It was so liberating. It was such a wonderful, wonderful thing to play, where you just don't care. In fact, you make everyone else, the Professor makes everyone else help him with his OCD. They've all got to clean everything meticulously. And
Could I ask you, is the Professor a detective or an amateur detective?
well, this is the really, really interesting bit. He's professional, he's a criminologist, and this is, again, what makes the show different. We really get into criminology.
But he's not a police officer.
He's not a police officer. It's a bit like Cracker. You remember Cracker, where you have who was a criminal psychologist. So he's a professor of criminology, the scientific study of criminology, and that's one of the wonderful things about the show.
What's his relationship with the police like? Because often in these series they can be completely irritated, I suppose.
Well, the main police investigator, played by Emma Naomi, character Lisa Donkers, she is one of the Professor's ex-students, and that's why she gets him involved. So she's now a policewoman working in Cambridge, comes across this incredibly complex crime, and the only person she can think of to help her is her old criminology lecturer. So it's her that brings him in, but straight away, and it's like oil and water don't mix. You know, he's really not popular.
Criminal psychology is fascinating, isn't it?
Really, really fascinating. Now, all the psychology in the show is researched. You can look it up. It's real criminology. Emma Naomi, who plays Lisa Donkers, did an Open University course in criminology as
and it's set in a contemporary period. It's not
set in present-day Cambridge. Well, I say present-day Cambridge. I mean, I went back obviously to Cambridge to film. Cambridge hasn't changed.
Yes.
You went to university then?
I went to university there. Hasn't changed at all in the last 30 years. It's still... So present-day Cambridge is pretty much the same as Cambridge of 50 years ago, I would say.
And that's the difference.
Failed.
We have these wonderful bits in the... When we suddenly enter the professor... He's very... almost locked in, the professor. And we have these wonderful moments where we suddenly see the world through his eyes, like we saw the chickens there. You suddenly have these crazy moments where you see what's actually going on in his head.
And even the way he's dressed, you know, that makes you feel
Yes.
like him, I suppose.
Well, partly it was the suit, you know, it was working with this fantastic tailor, Chris Kerr, to create that suit and putting the suit on and feeling... He has a very particular way of moving. He's very still. He's unusually still. It reminds me a bit of that girl in The Ring who never seems to... Never sees that horror film, The Ring, where she never seems to walk and suddenly she's closer.
She's forward, yeah, she's there. Top, yeah.
Well, listen, it looks fantastic. Professor T starts on Sunday at 9 p.m. on ITV. Last time you were here, you've done your third children's book, which you named after your three books after your children. Now, you've written a fourth book and you don't have a fourth child.
I know, I ran out of children, basically. We have a book each for the first three children and now I've written one about my dog.
What's the story
your dog
about
called?
your dog?
My dog's called Jet. The story is called How I Became a Dog Called Midnight, and it's about a boy who swaps bodies with a dog, just like my dog. And my dog, Jet, her auntie is called Midnight, so I sort of got the name.
Yeah.
You know, I got the name from the family.
Professor T, have you got great hopes for this?
Huge hopes, Eamon, and there's real potential for this to run because there are all of the characters have these really, really interesting backstories. And Professor T, there's something about him you're just not quite sure. Is he a goodie or is he a baddie? And I think that's going to be...
So there could be a dark secret.
Exactly, there's a dark side.
Well done. I love how you become him. I love how you look older, sterner, fantastic.
More mature, do you
More
think?
mature, divorcing yourself
scared.
from him. And I look forward to this one. This is an appointment to view, 9 o'clock, ITV, on Sunday. Professor T, Ben Miller, thank you.
Or Ben Stiller, as I called you
Ben
earlier.
Stiller, yes.
Do
Well, I'll take
apologise.
that. I'll take
that.
Good luck. Thank you very much indeed.